Are we all schizophrenic? Isn't that something? Let me start by introducing to you our guest today. And I cannot pronounce his last name, so it's better that he pronounce it for me. I know him as Tormod. Please introduce yourself, Tormod.
My birth name is Tormod Hvidsten Gjedrem. That is Tormod Whitestone Goat's Home, like the host of the goats or the host of the White Rocks. Tormod from Norway. Hi, everybody.
Great, Tormod. It's really nice for you to be here.
Yeah.
And enlighten us with something that we are not conscious about, which is schizophrenia. And I realized when reading the meaning of schizophrenia in the dictionary, dictionary.com, let me share with everyone this. Schizophrenia in psychiatry is also known as dementia praecox, Praecox, a severe mental disorder characterized by the following features. Some but not all of the following: emotional blunting or slow perception of emotions, intellectual deterioration or difficulty understanding, social isolation, disorganized speech, behavior delusions, and the hallucinations. Behaviors are aggregate of responses to internal and external stimulus. Delusions are false beliefs. Hallucinations are actually like delusions. When you see different kinds of visions that is not here in reality. So I would like to look at this. Emotional blunting. How many of us are really conscious of the fact that we have emotions coming up now and then? Are we really conscious of these emotions coming up? We are not. So I can say that for me, I'm not 100% conscious of the emotions coming up, but as I train myself in life, I come to an understanding of when emotions come up, so that then before that, I can stop myself from participating in some emotions that will not benefit everyone concerned. Intellectual deterioration, which is difficulty understanding. Well, it's subjective because as an immigrant, when you have difficulty understanding something, it's not because you really are schizophrenic. It's something new to you. So you take time to kind of understand this word or this place or how they do things. Social isolation. Sometimes we need time to be alone, and that doesn't mean we're schizophrenic. Disorganized speech. Well, sometimes we speak in an uncoordinated way because sometimes, just like me, I'm from the Philippines, I'm used to speaking in Tagalog or Filipino. I come to America, my tongue kind of twists a little bit and tries to find words to the right words to say at the right situation. So I wouldn't say that because I have disorganized schizophrenic, Tormod, right? I'm just clarifying this.
There we are.
Right. So behavior you see, our behavior
Yeah.
is an aggregate responses according to the dictionary of internal and external stimulus.
Yeah.
Right. So that means if I reactions to, let's say, for example, someone is angry and I react and I go, oh my gosh, I better get out of here. He's angry. Then am I schizophrenic? You know, let's look at that later on. But there is a way to actually um, select behaviors or direct them. So delusion, how many of us has false beliefs? Let's say if the media says something and we don't have data about that, our brain suddenly thinks of something and believes this as true, and we normally take from what we hear from the media. So our beliefs are shaped by what we hear and see in the media. So that doesn't also make me schizophrenic. So hallucinations, when I see and imagine something, and let's say, for example, I saw this handsome guy and I got attracted to that guy, and at home I'm still thinking of that guy. I'm in a hallucinating mode, right? And does that mean I'm schizophrenic? Or maybe I am, because look, it may be schizophrenia is in fact showing us that we have to really look at what we're doing. We have to look at our thoughts and be aware of them so that we can direct them. We need to be able to not understand information as something that is separate from us, or understanding information, how can I study this subject, but rather, like Tormod has got a blog that I saw on balance, which he will share with us later on. Learn about how to deal with words and then speak it in a way that we are not going to have disorganized speech, but also taking into consideration that we can speak in silence too, you see. And behavior, we can direct behavior. Our delusions or false belief, we can actually see the lie within the belief, be the lie, you see, and we can transform that into something that is a fact, because we have investigated it, and then we have tested some things, and we have lived like that, and we know for sure that that is not a belief coming from the media or someone else saying something in theory, but rather we walk this. This is an integral part of us, and it is not just a belief. And hallucinations, whenever we think of something that we like in our mind, we can bring ourselves back here and stop schizophrenia for good. Now let's go back to Tormod, because we have just equalized our position with Tormod here. Me and Tormod, we are beings, you see, that are not aware of our emotions. And there is a tool to actually be aware of our emotions, direct them, direct our behaviors. This is what we want to share with you today. And Tormod will help me do that. And yes. But first, we have to ask him some questions.
Yeah.
Tell us your schizophrenia story, Tormod.
Well, my schizophrenia story. I was first diagnosed in 2003. In 2003, I was first introduced to mental hospital in Norway, and I was then taught that I had schizophrenia, but I had no I had no training in talking to doctors, or no training in what it would mean to be at a mental hospital at all. All I had was vague ideas about fraud and the went through the cuckoo's nest with Nicholas, yeah, the movie, and I had this Hollywood idea of what it was to be in a mental hospital. Psychology and psychiatry then in 2003 came from TV, and if I had had training in words and vocabulary, I could have much more easily know what to talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist about. But since I did not have training in that from before, from school, from society, from parents, and so on, since I did not have that, I was unable to communicate about the things that would matter to me in my treatment. And so from that perspective, you can look back at my early childhood trauma, which was a mild trauma, but was to me a very harsh and brutal trauma, because what I experienced was I was at this innocent play with some neighbors, and I was this innocent, not decent play was broken off. We were having a tremendous cool time exploring each other's bodies, and then boom, an adult person comes and discovers us, as it had to be, because we had to be stopped. And this stopping, this talk about ending this game, this play, was stopped. And it was stopped, and from there I would build this character of shame. I would build this shame character on me. I would remember this episode of myself being caught at this play, and I would isolate this method. I would separate this method and take this shame away from me wherever I went. So, but my schizophrenia actually goes back a little bit, or way much further, if you like, the process of being conceived in my mother's belly. We are speaking about the creation of me as a baby, the creation of schizophrenia as I was conceiving in my mother's belly. There is a metaphysical, quantum physical, religious, whatever you call it, process going on within approximately 1 in 100,000 children being born, that it makes them schizophrenic from before birth. So I was schizophrenic before birth, and I came out. I did not discover this before I was 24, 25, and by that time it was in full bloom. And I had lots of difficulties with addictions and so on and so forth. And this was back to 2003 in mental hospital.
Okay. So this is very interesting, because the shame that you were talking about when you were caught, I can relate to that. Because when I was about 5, 6, 7 years old, I saw my mom and my grandmother quarreling. And I remembered I saw my grandmother pulling her hair. This is not like a very violent thing. This is just something that I witnessed. And I don't know if it's true or not, but it remained in me. And that shame that you were talking about came to me when I looked at this situation when I was that young. And the shame is this, that my mom is being hurt by my own grandmother. And I projected that shame back to me. So I have to live with that all my life. And the point that stood out is that I was not able to even help my mother at that point. I was hiding somewhere and looking at both of them. So all my life was spent trying to transcend this through helping others. Can you see that? That this is not me directing me to sort this out. This is me directing me to go in another way to avoid this and believe that I'm really sorting this out. Can you relate with it? How did you avoid this when you were an adult, and how did you come to terms with it and direct it finally?
Well, to me it was a very long and disturbing process, because I started discovering that, or after this shame character, when I was 6 or 7 years old, being discovered, this shame character would grow on me like cancer inside me, really. But I would sort of separate myself from it, push it away, and deny it and suppress it. And from this abandoned child syndrome, or what to call it within the terms, I would develop into escapism. I would escape from this boredom, this shame, this dreadfulness within me, and I would escape from this by first I would start stealing, like some pennies and some kronos here, kronos there, etc. And later on, this evolved into drugs and drinking. I would medicate myself from this past of mine of growing up, and all the time in school and in church groups and everywhere I went, there was always this possibility for me to I would seek out sort of, can I possibly do wrong here? Can I possibly do wrong there? And I would seek out like a bee or what, like a whatever. I would seek out like a radar, thinking that I can potentially do something wrong at this point here. I will do what is wrong because I'm programmed with a shame, negative character. So I was programmed with this shame, negative character that I denied, that I suppressed, that I pushed down and out and away from myself. And from there, I would go into escapism and escape and medicate myself with weed and with alcohol and medicate myself. So when I came to the doctors in 2003, 2004, 2005, we would talk about my drinking and my sex addiction and sort of like that, like the superficial things, like what was on the surface. We would not talk about the underlying factors from my childhood and adolescent years. That was not taken into that much consideration, strangely enough, because the trust between me and doctors were not there. And there is something particular that I would like to point out, because when I'm in a doctor's office with a psychiatrist or a psychologist, sitting in that person's office and talking to that psychologist or psychiatrist that goes on throughout the world all the time, there is this dualistic, I'm talking to you, sort of sterile, sort of fragmented, dualistic, playish, whatever, monotypic talk. It's like between two people, and it's very sterile, it's very dualistic, and it's better to talk when there's more people. So I would like for people to see this new method that we have discovered from the north of Finland that is called the open dialogue. The open dialogue approach is to include mother and father, nurses you know well, a social worker, a doctor, a team of people sitting in a circle like a hippie thing, and talking about what matters, and talking about responsibility. And there's a total different sort of flow of responsibility and dignity and communicative easiness within that room, and sort of drive to seek out problem solutions, reward sort of, and sort of place things in that room between myself as a patient, my parents, and my co-working nurses, my doctor, and so on, and work in that open dialogue. That was a breakthrough for me in 2012, when I started to work process, starting to tear apart the old part of myself, picking it apart like a puzzle, and patching it, and later patching it together again, using tools of forgiving myself so I can go back to those memories from my childhood and from my adolescent years, go back to those memories and stand within all my different memories and occasions, through the bullying, through the harassment, through the whatever happened, drama, things going on. And I could stand in each and every moment. I could stand and not feel like I was standing in a war zone, like things was mayhem, and to stand in those all memories without feeling that it was chaotic and hell around me or emotions around me. And I can stand in that moment, those moments, from forgiving myself in those moments. And that, my friend, is a prominent tool, a prominent key of forgiving oneself and letting go of the emotion, releasing the energy within that is tying the knots, that is creating the cancer, and release and the pain, and releasing that energy and setting oneself free to stand as a rock solid support for self and others in life later on. And that is what I started using in 2012 after this open dialogue meeting.
So you actually included this in the dialogue. Did you say that, or did I misinterpret you?
No, I started, there was a bit of misinterpretation. I'm not sure what I said at that particular open dialogue meeting, but I remember that the flow of responsibility, flow of words between us in that group setting was so much healthier and much sane. I talked to my nurses today, and I talked to people about my self-forgiveness, like here now, I'm sharing it, and yeah, so I'm looking back and I see that in kids today. I talked to my sister who's a teacher, for instance. My sister is a teacher, and she says that the children don't know what to call the things that they are going through in school, in elementary school. And they don't have the words to name what they go through. If it's personalities, if it's emotional turmoil, whatever the pocket is, they don't have the vocabulary to express themselves. They lack the words and the insight. We need more psychology in the school system, and we need to have more and a wider and more learn more words, really.
Right, and we have a tool for that too. So we are going to do a series because I can learn a lot from you, and I'm pretty sure that you can learn a lot from me. And from this, we can bail out psychiatry and, kind of create the solution there, even suggest solutions, you see. So I would like this to be a series. And you already said yes to that. So that's really cool. And I would like to say, because before the hangout, we were talking about this personality quarreling in your mind before you had a tool to actually sort this out. So tell me about that. How did you experience schizophrenia before you used the tool?
Yeah.
What worked for you?
I have later learned, and looking back, and I'm able to identify myself with the insights of schizophrenia that I have from studying, from learning today, and I see that my schizophrenia have been playing out. It's more, I have more. Back then, it was playing out like I had 2 or 3 personalities, like polarity constructs, personalities, polarity constructs. 2 or 3 of them working within me, trying to balance each other out. 2 or 3 personalities fighting amongst each other. It's total chaos. 2 or 3 personalities fighting inside my mind, inside my body, my beingness, about who is going to be the one in charge, or genuinely me, sort of, you know. And this war or game inside me, balance inside me, causes friction, voice in the head, pain. I'm not able to communicate clearly by what I'm speaking about, just gibberish, and psychosis, and possessions, and also, and I would drug myself to heal from it, and to feel ease, sort of. And so this my schizophrenia is basically when I have 2 or 3 personalities trying to balancing each other out, or having a war inside of me where they're fighting among themselves within me, creating pain, emotional disturbances, voice in head, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, my mind is also rigid or wired a bit differently, so that my mind is not as smooth as other people's minds are. My mind is more rigid to sort of attract to emotions and emotional turbulence, if you like. And so that is some of the key points to understand schizophrenia. 1, it is personalities that are active, that are trying to balance each other out. And 2, your mind is wired differently, more like an emotional burden to catch or hold on to emotions, sort of within the mind design of one's mind. Yeah.
So I can see that in my life. I also had these episodes but these are personalities that I embody. Let's say, for example, the favorite personality, meaning the good personality, the best personality that I put out there when I go and attend events. And then there is this part of me, which is also a personality, that judges myself, you see, whenever I fail and not be the winner, for example, or not get good grades in school. There is another personality where I'm the popular girl in school, because I look, you know, I try to put on makeup and make me and myself look good, right?
Yeah.
So these different kinds of personalities, I also deal with them, just like what you described. But as you described it, I can sense that this is just a little bit milder than that one that you were describing. And I am more in control. And I can see that there's a part of me that also suppressed this. So as you were sharing this, I can tell that we all have schizophrenia in that point. Looking at that point, you know. But really, what we want to share is the tools that we can use, even if diagnosed with schizophrenia or not, because realistically, we all have it. Well, I went over them in the beginning, and I can see now these personalities. We are just not aware that they exist, but they do. Because we suppress them, we don't bring it out. So then we cannot give it a real word, and we cannot describe it, and we just suppress and suppress and suppress until one day it becomes full-blown schizophrenia that they diagnose in the mental institution. So I would like to ask you, because we have talked about the mental aspect of this, how do you support your body within this? What kind of food do you eat? What do you do? Exercises?
Yes, I do. First of all, I am more and more as of present aware of what I speak, or what I speak, and what I eat. I must point to what I eat. I'm more and more aware of what I put into my mouth, and I find that I want to seek to more homeopathic approach to how I eat. I want to eat more healthy. I want to try to listen to my body, ask my body, what would you like to eat today? And sort of have that approach of, instead of honesty, listening to my body and giving it what it wants, genuinely. That is a profound skill or way to handle self and food and homeopathy. So I'm middle of this. I actually want to buy myself a juice machine because I see that all these things on Facebook, people saying juice machine is the best, juice carrots and ginger, and I was like, wow, no juice, so that I won't have to chew my food, because what really is wrong with lots of people, lot of the food we eat, we don't chew our food properly. We sit over the carrot and we chew a little of it and it goes straight through us, like the whole carrot is almost forgotten. So we need to sort of, juice machine is a very excellent tool, because then it's all grounded and made into soup or juice. So I'm investigating how I can find myself a juice machine and purchase, and find recipes for juices. That is something that I'm investigating as of today. And so, but I want to add that I still take prescriptive medication from a doctor. I'm not really, it's something that I do because it bridges me sort of, for now, into a more stable, more calm being. It's you can say it's placebo, you can say whatever it is about that, but it's my choice, and I choose to bridge myself with that drug for the time being. And so I use that drug from doctor, one type of drugs from doctor, and also I work out quite, not quite, more than I used to anyways. Before I would not work out at all, and now I go swimming each Tuesday, and I go to gym about two times or maybe more times during a week, to gym studio, and work out and do jogging and sweating and have the healthy shower and so on. And also I would, if I don't go swimming or don't go to gym, I go for daily walks. And I walk some meters on my feet, and that's how I support myself. And also I massage my feet every night. Every night I give my feet, under my feet, a real good rub and touch and feel and be with them and cherish them and appreciate them for being at the very low part of my body, for walking my whole body and for being a part of me. And I try to give them that, try to spread like sort of awareness, contact with me throughout my whole being, like a holistic sort of practice. And that you could call is so there's like the foot, what is it called, foot zone therapy, about how the internals, my heart, my liver, my kidneys and so on, have their own position under my feet, standing on the ground. So that is yeah. And I try to eat more healthy and try to ask, and there's something, my newest thing about this is to ask myself, what would you like to eat today, Tormod? What would you like? And try to find out if I have it in my fridge, and or maybe to go purchase it and have that for a meal. And also to buy myself a juicer.
So what did you have for today, Tormod? What did you eat today?
Today I had, for breakfast I had porridge. It was havregrøt. I think it's called oatmeal and honey for breakfast. Later I had dinner. I don't think I ate any particular in between. So I had dinner. My dinner was entrails, like this package of totally smushed entrails, heart and lungs of cow and of pig, heart and lung of cow and pig, like in a tube sort of, just squish it out to the frying pan with chili and garlic. And I had brown rice, and I had 1 beetroot. That was my dinner with sour cream and soy sauce.
How did you cook the beetroot?
I just, I didn't cook it, I just...
Grated it.
What do you say?
Grate?
Grating it, I like a...
Yeah.
That's what I did, so I had it like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One day I would like to do another hangout with you on food, because
Cool.
I'm into food, and we can maybe make some smoothie recipes to share, or juice recipes to share with them.
Cool.
Your juice recipe and my juice recipe, and other people can benefit from that too. So when you ask your body about food,
Yeah.
what you say is something like this: what do I like today, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you kind of find out, and that's how you choose the food that you're going to eat for the day. Yes.
Yes, that would be my new approach. I have not, I tried it, I vaguely tried it out today. I saw this on Facebook yesterday, so like, cool approach, I thought, and that is something that I want to apply to myself in my consuming of food or preparation, whatever, and to ask when I feel a little hunger, in my belly, and I'll go, what would I like to eat, so that I could like take my time and perhaps write it out, perhaps map out what I see, what I sense, or what I hear of my body talking to me. Yeah.
Right. I actually journaled for a month what I ate.
Okay.
We said something you would get into, or you would be willing to get into, let's say for just a week, taking photo of your food.
Yeah, definitely. That is something I would like to get into, taking picture of all my food, all my meals, and
Yes.
to sort of analyze it and see if I react to any of it. Yeah, yeah.
Great. So what are the foods that you don't like?
The foods I don't like? I don't like food that is where it says like, I bought this fish pudding the other day, and it was like 28% fish, and all the rest of the 70 whatever percent was like soya oil and something else, I'm not sure, flour or whatever, and the rest was 70% non-fish, and it's called fish stew, and that I threw away because I was so disappointed in the taste and everything. So there are so many products that, but on the other side of that, we have like this new type, which coming from the California, or where it comes from, the meatless meat, for instance, where they design these cool new meat, looks like meatballs from plant extract and protein of this and protein from here and there, and then they make these cool meatballs that looks like a meatball, and they fry it, and they say it tastes like a meat, tastes like a hamburger, it tastes like a meatball, and so that's like the other side of it, sort of. But that I would like to try, that I would like to purchase, because that I could think at maybe more conscious consuming, get it into affordable prices, and so on and so forth. But I don't eat too much candy, sugars. I'm very aware of what I take in of sugar products or drinks. There's nothing that I would say that I don't want to eat this, like from meals or something like that. I don't eat too much cakes or chocolate or sugary products. I'm a bit allergic to citrus fruits, so I'm and that is something that I experiment with, because allergic reactions is very much suppressed fear from childhood. So that's something that I sort of balance with self-forgiveness on citrus fruits.
Cool. Definitely, we can do a hangout on this, the physical aspect of it. And maybe you can share with us also what kinds of exercises you do, stuff like that. So now we have looked at the mind, the body. Now we're going to look at the quantum physical or the metaphysical, whatever you call it, aspect of schizophrenia. Uh, have you looked at this before? Have you researched on this? Please share this with us.
Yeah. Well, what I see, I look at, for instance, Facebook groups called schizophrenia or schizophrenics or whatever, and most of it is young teenagers or young people living in the United States that have schizophrenia. And there's a lot of dreadful, what shall I say, so they don't have that insight at all. They like talk the pictures of weed, smoking, whatever, animals, or just like gibberish nonsense they throw out on that page mostly. And that's what disappointing, right? Because I think that they all give up. They all resign. They think that this metaphysics of me alone is too complicated for me to handle alone. That is how I understand these people, these kids that are struggling. And I see that they are having like their emotional long phase, and because it is quite a rough thing to carry. And so to me, I look at them and I think, how can I design things or help them with whatever talks or communication or clearance or awareness for them to have a more easy and less frictionate and less emotional every day, because it is not a joke to be schizophrenic. It's very, it can be, like I said, like the mind is designed particularly with attaching specific emotions all the time. So it is a tough diagnosis, and I understand very well that many tend to drinking and drugs and cannabis like I did myself when I was younger. So hearing voices, understand this, that hearing voices is hearing thoughts or noise or talkings or backshots or internal conversations within your own freaking body or within your own freaking mind and head. And it always from yourself. It's, I mean, like that is something that people need to sort of realize, that within this life we have to become responsible with ourselves and realize that what I hear comes from me and my body, my memories, my friction, my polarities, and so on and so forth going on inside of me. And there is nobody that can, and eventually there's nobody that can help me but myself. I can receive assistance and support and this and that, but eventually I have to walk it myself. And that can be a very tough pill for very many people to swallow, particularly with mental illness and mental diagnoses. And also that fact that when you go to doctor, the doctor says, I could prescribe you some Cipolex or Cipadera or Abilify, and the doctor says that, and you think that you think that I am so sick that I have to have some chemicals. I have to have chemicals to cure myself. And that is a hard fucking blow to the gut. Like, you are so sick, you need to have something unnatural, like chemicals, to cure yourself. And that statement is very hard, because people think that marijuana grows from Mother Earth. I want that stuff because that is like natural. That is like me. That is my kind of thing, sort of, you can say. So the fact that chemicals is unnatural, sort of, and come from oily products or wherever it comes from, it seems very unclear wherever it comes from to me in my awareness. And so that is a hard blow to the self-esteem, to realize that I'm so unhealthy that I need something that is unnatural to cure myself. So there's a lot of aspects and there's a lot of angles, and that the fact that one takes chemicals make one so low within oneself, so heavy within oneself, that you tend to eating lots of frozen pizza or hamburgers or drinking lots of beer, and sort of going into all these bad habits of eating and not working out anything at all, and just smoking and drinking and pizza, and like and this just goes on very much in my country, Norway, and I know it goes on in other countries as well. So there's this unhealthy lifestyle that goes with mental disorders, and there's a lot of challenges because people grow into these habits and thinking that they are not worthy of having social bonds or intellectual conversations or anything. So there's lots of that. You call it stigma or way of living, or overweight, or it's like start with a starting point of having a mental illness and having a mental disability, and then just following that path of like I did with shame personality, my shame personality, and I would vacuum my everywhere if there could be a possibility for me to do wrong, and I would make sure that that bomb went off and I did wrong because that I was so emotionally charged from being very young and from having that early trauma, lacking vocabulary, lacking to express myself, failing to talk to doctors later in my 20s, not knowing what to tell them about the parties and the girls and the drugs and the dopes and superficial things, until I learned about self-forgiveness, to stand through my storms and be one and equal with everything, and not fall down, and to have cleared out all my potential bombs with self-forgiveness as the tool.
Yeah. So can you spell that drug for us, please? Because not many of us are familiar with it.
Well, my drug is called Zepad. It's called like ZEPAHD. Zepad. It's an antipsychotic. It is like balancing my levels, sort of. It's giving to me like a shot to my buttocks every third week. So it's an antipsychotic, the drug. It is. I'm not sure if I've been taking that drug since 2011, and I'm looking at eventually one day to be drug-free. That is my goal, but I'm not trying to stress about getting there. I'm trying to take my time, my path, and my day by day, breath by breath, working towards that goal of using homeopathic drugs, homeopathic remedies, and healthy living, and working out, and doing healthy intellectual things with myself and others, and so I can. So the psychopharma is there, and it works if you let it work, sort of.
So have you tried any homeopathic remedies? And if so, please tell us the name of the homeopathic remedy.
Yeah. Right now I am eating like this. Here we go with the basilicum.
Basil.
Basil, yes.
Sweet basil. Yeah.
Sweet basil. It's very. There is not a lot of, or there is not enough, perhaps, stores and available about homeopathic medicine, to my awareness. There is coming more and more, and also in the supermarket they introduce things like this. I bought in the supermarket. grocery store. So I use that, and I use parsley, and I use ginger, I use chili. I try to take every night basic soda, basic caustic soda, like the natural in the water, like a half a teaspoon of that in water to make my gut basic, make my pH level into basic, so that I don't have so many acids in my gut. And also I use turmeric occasionally, and yeah. So there's some different things I go throughout the day if I can remember it all. Yes, yeah.
I can see you're balancing the use of all these different tools to support yourself physically and mentally. So you haven't really tried a homeopathic remedy, not yet?
Well, if there is a further investigation and further usage of these remedies, like turmeric, or then I have no, but I take them, and, but I have not. So I do take these drugs, this homeopathic, and I try to balance so that one, they can leave that old antipsychotic out of my body and just continue on the parsley, the turmeric, the homeopathic. Yeah.
Okay. So, what is self-forgiveness? You've talked about this, and I would like to see how you see self-forgiveness and why it works.
Self-forgiveness is a very cool recipe. It's like, I forgive myself. You write it out like, I forgive myself that I have accepted, or for I have accepted and allowed myself to. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to judge my mind from schizophrenia, from being schizophrenic. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to judge my mind for myself being schizophrenic. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to judge the doctor for calling me schizophrenic. I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself to go into depression or self-judgment from realizing I have a schizophrenic diagnosis. I forgive myself. So it's like a sentence that builds up, and the points are sort of dissolved from the forgiveness and the acceptance, and it sort of patches itself over, sort of, and releases the emotions or the energies within a particular point. Yeah.
So how do you feel after self-forgiveness? Does it feel different, or after you said these statements?
Yeah, sometimes it could feel like it trickles, like this, like sort of a release, sort of like
a release,
tension. And if you have like pain in the knee or pain in your arms or wherever you have some sort of friction or pain going on, that can self-forgiveness can release that pain if it's not too physical, if it's more metaphysical, and you can work on it with self-forgiveness. Yeah.
Cool. Very interesting. I have used self-forgiveness before when I had cancer, and I can really feel that physical release. It is, in the beginning, a mental release of all these judgments that accumulated over time. But I guess as the mind is one as the body, so then there is also this physical release that comes. The most challenging part is identifying what you forgive yourself for me. What about you?
Yeah, and that is definitely a process or a journey or a process to be walked, and realize this, that we are our own worst judges. There is nobody that can judge me more harsh or more badly than myself. I am my own worst judge. So therefore, I am also, and within that, it is possible to understand that I am this system, I am this matrix, I am this neon, realizing himself as the system, as the capitalism system, socialism, whatever cabal. I am the system. It is me, and I have to dismantle. I have to forgive myself so I can release all these energies from my body and realize myself and learn to empower myself. And
So,
yeah,
Tormod,
yeah.
when you say I am the system, what do you really mean? If you kind of keep that simple.
Realizing that I have a mind, realizing that I have a mind that consists of my unconscious, conscious, and subconscious, of elements, of compartments, you could say, or units. And also that I have been living my life within that personality construct of a pin needle, polarity, plus and minus, and giving this plus and minus energies to my mind, laying like in a tomb, like in a system, and giving this energy to the mind, slaving for the system, for the mind, and realizing that I have to wake up from that state and learn to balance my thoughts, feelings, emotions triangle, and or eye of the pyramid, and balance it and forgive it, so that it's not more, no more tripping wires for me, and no more pain for me in my body from this metaphysics. Yeah,
I can see that. For example, you as a being have identified the judgments, the shame, and now you can see that you went to the psychs and the psychological system and psychiatry and the mental hospital. These are part of the system, the psychiatry part of the system, right? So that then your state of mind within those shame and judgments are now an institution, which is the psychological institution, you see. So that then there is really, you create that matrix, right?
yeah,
Because you participated in these judgments and shame, and within that made your life so unbearable that you will have to seek help from these people in the system. So as I can see, what you're doing now is kind of walking back, forgiving yourself for creating these judgments and this shame, and then creating the consequence outflow of having these mental institutions that are now making money out of drugs, for example, to survive too. So we are all in a survival kind of coping mode here. And then, so what you're doing is healing that part of you that participated in these judgments. And then as you get into the institutions, you're actually saying, hey, you know, let's have these tools in there, like open dialogue and maybe one day self-forgiveness for people who are reaching for it, because it has helped you, right? So you're healing yourself and healing the system in a way. Am I correct on that?
Very much correct, because it's like when I realize that my mind when I realize and understand excuse me, my mind of the different units of the conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and how complex that really is. And when I realized that I have personalities living with polarities and realized how complicated that really is, I'm able to see more clarity within the world around me, and I'm able to see that what helps, what gives directive principle, what helps people empower themselves, how to empower, how to lay the fundamentals, the possibility for people to be able to empower themselves on their own, and how to live dignified lives without feeling that you're not tough enough or strong enough or pretty enough or you're not enough or something, and always feeling that you're behind. And yeah, so also the complexity of the old system that we're leaving behind, the old cabal, the old capitalism, socialism, whatever you call it, system that we have left behind, or that we're leaving behind now. We have been living in a negative system. It's been a system of debt, and that is sort of like the economic, very important part of this picture, because we have been living with a debt-based world system and banking. It's no longer a secret that banking and finances is a great big scam. and from that, we can realize this, and okay, then let's turn it around and create a positive system with responsibility included for everyone, and sufficiency and abundance for everybody. Yeah.
Right. I can see that you have addressed the physical aspect, the mental aspect, and the social aspect of health here. And this is that just covering the surface. So then we can, as we go through this series, we're gonna go in depth more and suggest other ways that people with schizophrenia can understand more what's going on within them, within their mind, and support the body as well, as the mind is an integral part of the body too. Physical health is mental health in itself. So one and equal with mental health. So what is your website again, Thormod?
I have several websites. I have 2 blogs that I write. A Schizophrenics Journey to Life. If you Google a Schizophrenics Journey to Life and Tormod, perhaps Tormod, you find me. And also I have some pages on Wix. I would love to come to your school or your work, your university or social network and talk. And you can find me on Facebook. Yeah, there's links on my Wix page to my SoundCloud, Tormod Vidsten Edram, where I go talks. You can read my name here and Google me, and you find all sorts of different portals and platforms where I participate and where I share my life experience and my keys to improvement and keys to embetterment. Yeah.
Your psychiatry tools website is Wix, Tormod. What's it again?
It's a Wix page. Wix is like Wix is like a
platform for websites for people to make websites. Yeah.
I think it says in the description of this Hangout about where it is. Yeah. So
they can just click that, go to your website.
Contact me, write me a mail or something, and I'll help you out. Yeah.
Cool. So what are the different groups that you now belong to? I know that you're speaking to groups right now. So tell us about that.
Right now, I am standing in a case of a person who is being sentenced to treatment for drugs and threats. He was making threats, and he was doing amphetamine, and so he ended up in prison. And after prison, he was judged to further sentences within the mental hospital. After prison, he was further sentenced to mental hospital and sort of doing time in the mental institutions. This is a particular person that I'm working with. I'm trying to go to the newspapers with this and say that, hello, this person is being abused in the system, sort of yelling out and trying to get my picture, in this case, to newspapers, because there's a lot of these cases that are being overrun by the system, and people are being ended up just like paper, whatever, movement of paper in the system. So that is something I'm working on currently, and I'm listening a lot to Gabor Mate about addiction and psychiatry and traumas, and there is a very, what shall I say, automatic mechanism with if you're a child and you have experienced trauma or any sort of trauma at all, and when you're a child, very often this is suppressed and forgotten when it comes to your 20s if you're not working with it. So if not working with it, this is often forgotten about. So if you experience any sort of trauma when you are a very young child, and this will then follow you, doing all the walking along like a walking bomb, like you do all the wrongs that is possible to go wrong within your life. You to set off all the alarms, sort of, and you do all the wrongs, and you end up from prison equals you end up in prison, and you go from trauma to prison. There's an automatic thing in the system that if you're born with trauma, you will be harassed and bullied and spit at and thrown into prison and crime and addictions. That is how this old system society works. If you have trauma, it's like fuck you. It's like totally lunatic. Like the people that are treated the worst from when they are 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, they are spit at and treated badly for the rest of their life, because that is how we deal with it in the Western world, or in this world of trauma and prison. And that is an insane way to treat people, and it have to change.
Are you a leader of a certain group?
Yes, I'm a local leader of an organization called We Shall Overcome. It is an organization that works for the betterment and for the individual processes of people within mental health care in Norway.